this kind of wraps up the exams that I'm gonna be taking for now. But once I take the Series 7, if I do end up taking it, I'll make sure that I do a video. We did it. I took my Series 7 today and I passed. I am officially a General Securities representative, and you, by watching this video, can become one as well. Let's hit it. So the Series 7 is the license that once passed will allow you to purchase and sell securities for other people. So it's basically one of the main licenses you're gonna have to take when you go into wealth management, aside of probably the Series 66 and the SIA exam. Also know what I called them, the wealth management trilogy. Talking about the 66 and the SIE, I've actually done videos on both of those exams. So if you haven't seen those, I really recommend that you check them out. I have some amazing information, I've gotten some great feedback, and they will really help you as well if you want to pass the exams on the first try, or whatever try it takes you. This is my last exam and I'm very happy to be done. So I'm gonna do things a little more chill today, but let's get right to it. So as far as the exam structure, the exam is gonna have 125 questions, and like the other two exams, they're gonna be 10 extra questions that are ungraded. So that puts it at a total of 135 questions, but you're not gonna know which questions are graded and which questions are not. So you are just attempting them all. You have 3 hours and 45 minutes, which in my experience was plenty of time. Like I said, I took it today and I finished with over an hour and a half left. The biggest thing with the Series 7 is that it's a qualified exam. So what it means by that is that you cannot take it by yourself. You have to be sponsored by a firm in order to take it. So your employer will pay for the exam, which is around $300, but your employer will pay for that. And that will be the only way you can take it. Different than the SIE and the 66, that you can take it by yourself like I did. It is offered year-round at Prometric testing centers, so you'll have an exam window that opens up once you get employed and once your employer assigns you and you fill all the required paperwork. And the passing score is 72%. So just to do the math to make sure, to get a 72%, you can get 35 questions wrong and still pass the exam. So just remember this when you're taking it, don't panic, you'll be fine. And it will give you immediate pass or fail results. So if you fail, it will give you feedback on the areas that you have to improve, and it will give you your score. And if you pass, congrats, you won't know your score. You're just gonna know that you passed, which is the goal. As far as study materials, once again, you're probably employed, so your firm is probably paying for it. They're probably gonna give you a system that has videos, books, whatever. I think you only need 2 things, and if you're paying it out of pocket, like I did because I started studying before I started working where I work now, you need 2 things. You need a book, which you can get directly from your provider, or you can get it used. That's what I did. I got it on Amazon directly from Goodwill, Wisconsin, or something like that. And more importantly, you need the QBank. So I really recommend Kaplan. I might contact them and try to get like a promotional code. If I do, I'll put it in the description. But Kaplan has been doing this for a long time. They do it really well, and they prepare you perfectly for the exam. So what I did is that I got the book and I got the QBank, which is around $70 to $100. The QBank gives you access to over 3,000 questions, and it allows you to create custom quizzes and mock exams. So that's the biggest part. Study time, once again, it applies the same as the SIE and the 66. If you have a background in finance, economics, or that's what you studied in college, you're probably gonna study a little less. However, the book, and everyone recommends that you study between 75 to 100 hours. I personally did have a background in finance, and I also had already taken the SIE and the 66. And more importantly, I had just recently taken and passed the CFA. So I only ended up studying 50 hours. I'll probably do a video in the future about my actual breakdown of how much I was studying a week, but what I usually did was 2 hours during the weekday, every day after work, and then in the weekends, I will do between 3 to 5 hours. So it took me 3 to 4 weeks to study for this exam because at the beginning I wasn't as consistent. And it can probably take you something like that. It's just a matter of how long is it gonna take you to kind of get used to studying after work and putting in the hours. The sooner you can do that, the sooner you'll be able to take this exam. And then lastly, as far as study tips, I recommend doing the same thing that I did for the other exams. So what I do is that I read the book first, super important. I like highlighting and annotating. A lot of people say that that's not important or that it doesn't work. It works for me and I like doing it. Then another unusual tip is I like creating a handwritten summary of the things that I didn't know or I think I should review in the future. I usually would just do that in the last page of the chapter and just do it by hand. When I will go back and review the topics because I was going to take a practice quiz or something, that will be the best thing to do instead of just having to go over the book. Specific to Kaplan, they have practice questions within the textbook and they also have the answer right there. So what I would do is that when I started studying, I just grabbed a bunch of post-it notes and I would just put it on top of the answer. So when I will get to the practice question, I will attempt it and then check the answer. It is really important that you do those practice questions because not only do you have to focus on learning the material, but you also have to focus on applying it. And it's a good contrast of reading it and then having a direct multiple choice question right there because it's going to give you some practice. It's going to start shaping your mind into what the questions look like. Once you do that, at the end comes the most important part of studying for every single chapter, which is the practice quiz. What I did is that I will create a 20-question practice quiz and I will do it right when I was done. So in the past, what I will say is that you should set a goal for a score and you should do a full quiz until you get that score. So for the 66, I did 75%, which meant that I will take a practice quiz and if I will get a 70, I will take a full other 20-question practice quiz until I got a 75. It can take me 2 tries, it can take me 5 tries, or it can take me 1 try. For this exam, I was being a little more conservative, and I forgot that I did a 75 in the past, but for this one, I did an 80%. So I wouldn't stop taking 20-question practice quizzes until I got an 80%. This was huge because it gave me more of a cushion and it really helped me for passing the exam. Different than the 66, they're not going to give you a detailed breakdown of how many questions are going to be in the exams based on the chapters, but they will give you a breakdown of how many questions you should expect based on each topic, which I'm going to put right here. What I will say is focus on the really long chapters. So for example, munis and options are one of the biggest parts of the exam. So I will say do a lot 20-question practice quizzes. I'm not a fan of lectures. You might be a fan of them. If that worked for you, do it. What I would do is just straight textbook, and when I had a doubt, I would just go to YouTube and Investopedia. That was the biggest part. Oh, and one last thing that is different from my last exam is I usually say that you should take at least 1 mock exam. I didn't do this time. What I did instead is that I just took a bunch of practice quizzes. And every single time I will do a practice quiz, I will have automatic feedback and automatic answer selected on. That way, if I made a mistake, I will know right away. I think the key of this exam is practice, 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 and just put in the time, be confident, put your head down and focus, and I think you will get it. I'm planning to do a video about all the 3 exams, the best tips about them, and what I think is the best orders to take them. So if you want to see that, make sure that you subscribe. And also, if you have any questions, make sure that you leave it in the comments below and I'll get to it. I've been answering all comments in my other videos and I think people have gotten some benefit out of that. You got this, believe in yourself, practice, and subscribe. See you next time.